Greetings, community. It's Kevin of Entropy and Comics, and I have an unboxing. Well, I actually unboxed it already. What I have is my pre-order arrived. So I want to go ahead and show to you exactly what I ended up receiving and explain a little bit of what I received, why I received it, and I guess let's just get into it. All right, here we go. Now I'm going to start off with when I ended up hearing about Keanu Reeves working on a particular project, getting into the comic scene, along with a few other stars, which I'll end up mentioning hopefully later on. I was all over this book. So Berserker has not only lived up to the hype, but it's also given us some pretty cool art. So I'm really digging this book, and I'm not getting crazy as far as the spec thing is concerned. At the same point, I'm definitely picking more than one up. Hey, Two-Gun, Las Cruces, appreciate you guys being here. Just going over my pre-order, and yeah, it's been a while. It's definitely been a while for me, to show off some books, so and not talk about spec and all that other stuff exclusively. So I appreciate you guys being here. This is not going to be a super long video. I am cutting back on my orders, and yeah, this is less than 60 books, and I'm going to end up showing you. So here we go. Continuing. Spider-Man number 74. So this is the last dispenser run. This has basically been a dehydrated cow. He's been milking the shit out of this thing to the point that there's nothing left. I'm glad to see it end, and I'm really curious to see how all this new begins. The story hasn't been bad, and it's been in and out of some pretty cool action. It's just not, I don't know. I think my complaint is not exclusive to myself. I think it's kind of out there as far as unified, how most people think too. So, all right, getting over to the Robin. This Robin has been a good story. Flatline has been awesome. I'm digging this character. I'm digging what's going on in the story. The fact that they're bringing all these other Robins out is in my belief, something that is bringing about the whole Batgirls thing that's going to be releasing pretty soon. All these Robins are going to be releasing pretty soon. All these stories that are going on. It's my personal opinion that when it was read what was going on in this story, they're like, hey, you know what? We can launch off this in our own little way. So I've been digging this, and I really think it's inspired other writings and other books that are going to be releasing pretty soon. Moving over back to the Marvel side. Let's get over to Miles Morales. Now, this new suit, it's kind of a hit and miss for me. I am digging it at times. Depending on how it plays in a particular scene, it doesn't work well. Cool. I appreciate that, Two-Gun. And so let's go ahead and show off. I end up getting crazy on all these covers. I end up buying all of them. I got a pretty decent deal on the design. So I ended up picking up one design for Ratio at my local shop. And then in the belief that this was be something that would be sought after, I ended up picking up a few of the designs also. So I ended up picking up 4. Anyone out there looking for one, I have. So yeah, I actually see, and this is what I mean is I actually like the weird look that it has in all these concepts and design looks, and the way it plays with some of the work into the art as far as what's happening into the storyline is okay. Then there's times it just oof, yeah, it's bad. Moving over to the Toxin. Now, I'm a huge Symbiote fan. I even refer to myself as a Symbiote slut at times. So as far as the whole saga of the whole Carnage extravaganza when it comes to, what is that, Alpha through all the way to Omega, and then going through the symbiotes themselves, I had to get every single cover. I had to get all the designs and all this stuff. So this is actually considered there's no design for this one. So this was considered it's 1 in 10. And then the Scotty Young. I did like the story. I thought it worked well. The biggest outcome, if this is a spoiler for you, sorry, because it's actually been out for a little while, is that when Scream, which is one of my favorite symbiotes of all, turn into silence. I am really looking forward to seeing what transpires from that. So here's some Agony. I want to say is an A. And this is the design. Sexy. And a Scotty Young, which this is a pretty badass Scotty Young. I mean, don't get me wrong. Scotty Young does some cool, he does some cool cover art, but that one in particular, I really like how he works with the purples, and it really looks cool. Doesn't look just kiddish. It looks a little vicious. All right, moving over to the portrait versions of all these things. So there is an Agony, and here is I think this is for all the Omega stuff. All right, so that was Toxin. This is Silence. Yeah, I really like her power too. That I won't give away right now, but we're really because it's so early in her development and her writing. We've only got to see one major thing that she did that was really unique. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this develops as far as her new character. That was the last one. Oh yeah, here we go. And then Omega. Correct. And a Scotty. Yeah, like I said, I'm a sucker. Look how many books they got me for. All right, so the Batman Adventures season 2. I like the first one. This one really it's fairly similar to the first one. I mean, it does expand in its own little realm and its own little story, and it's not much. I'm not going to give away any of the story, but it's not much different. It does carry in the main vein of the whole Batman Adventures. So if you're into that, I think it's Dini, right? Yeah, into that Dini art, Burnett writing. It's fairly continuous as far as how it feels and how it reads. So I recommend it if you've liked that past volume. It's great. It keeps going on. Thor, moving down the road. This is actually, when it comes to Thor, I have to say Donny Cates is actually doing it justice in the sense of he's doing what a Thor book does. It moves at this pace. It writes this way. I believe he's doing well. And I'm reading it. He's keeping me aboard. I'm pretty much just A and B in it now. I'm getting crazy and not getting nutty on the whole spec. I don't know. That's a separate conversation. So what I'm getting at is, yeah, Thor's pretty good, and I'm still reading and I'm digging it. I'm not ready to move that. Don't want to show these two yet. I want to show this one and then that one, and then we'll go actually with these two first. There we are. Philadelphia. Huge fan, always been. Did an interview with Rodney Barnes, on 1-2 Comic Talk, and this was an interesting interview. Rodney, he really intrigues me as an individual, and the development of his universe that he's doing as far as where it's developing. There's a new book that he'll be dropping pretty soon. He's writing Army of Darkness right now. What is that, 1979? And it's also, he's got a Star Wars one-shot dropping pretty soon. I want to say next month. And it's pretty cool what he's doing and how he's finally touching and expanding a little bit more than what he used to as far as his writing seemed to be exclusive pretty much like a lot of these writers. They really follow their heart and what they want to write, and I appreciate that. And he's had opportunity to write certain things, and I think he, like with the Star Wars, was given the opportunity to write this one. This was one he just couldn't pass up. So again, getting back to the hall this started, Philadelphia. I believe HBO still has it in development. So we'll see how this turns out. I can't wait to see how this, this whole storyline turns out to be. Mighty Valkyries, this was just something I was waiting on. I already finished it off. This was the number 5 of the 5, and yeah, it was a pretty good story. MFKZ, this is issue number, what? Don't tell me this one's 4. Yeah, this is 3. So I went a little heavy all the way up to the first 3. So, bam. And then I ended up getting to the garbage pail, which you'll see right here. And after this, I'm mellowing out. I have issue 4 over there. I only do, and I think it's an A and B on that, single cover buys. I'll read one, keep one. I'm digging it. I'm an MFKZ fan. Not only am I a fan, but it's a lot of the writings in my backyard, and it's frequent that I end up seeing stuff. So Run even made mention, and if you read up on this individual who writes this stuff, he fell in love with LA, and that's what he's basically doing. Is he's paying homage to not only LA, but all its flaws and all its and everything that he fell in love with, and everything that he actually despised. And as he made mention, and that goes along with every major city in the world that you live in. So I think that's one of the reasons why I really like that book. Along with, yes, the story of its own uniqueness. All right, here we go. Ongoing. I am a huge Usagi Yojimbo fan. And yeah, this story to me does not fail. It just keeps getting, as always, more and more adventuresome. It's so fun. And if you're into, the whole Bushido, or into, Age of Japan philosophy, or just the culture, whatever. The cool thing is a lot of these stories reflect certain stories of old. So it's not that he's just imagining all these stories, but he is taking stories that he grew up with, or stories that he may have read even recently, and he'll pick pieces out of that he'll then infuse into his own writing, which is pretty cool. All right, now this is a separate story altogether, and he's been doing these separate tales on the side of his ongoing, which has been cool. I think this is like the 4th one in the past 2 years. I've been loving it. 2 years? Year and a half. So that would make it the 3rd one, I believe. And I've been loving it. It's getting close. There's one more, I believe. 1 more? 2 more. Until it ends. So that's issue 4, halfway through it, all the way to issue 6. And yeah, it's pretty cool. If you're a Usagi Yojimbo fan, I don't have to convince you, I'm sure. Now this, if you're not buying this, and if you're into very vulgar, into very crass, rash style of reading, this is it. For all you scumbags out there, Space Bastards. This is a story that is really embraces everything that I just made mention of. And these guys are great. The writers of this book are really great guys. They're having a lot of fun with this book. You can see it in the writing. The art, I think it actually is even just on par, if not maybe even exceeding the storyline. And what I only mean by that is I'm impressed by the artwork. It seems at times it doesn't even have to be as awesome as it is. So I'm really impressed with everything involved. It's a nice book, always too. The integrity, the cardstock, the paper, the letters. It's really legible for my 52-year-old eyes. It's really cool. All right, moving on. This is a book. Don't have to convince probably everyone out there that I know personally that in the community is pretty much reading this book. So I don't have to convince you about Department of Truth and how good it is. And I don't know anybody that's really against, or I should say not against, but not reading, or has no interest in reading most Tynion books. He tends to, especially when it gets to his own writing and his own personal, how should I say, works of passion and works of the heart, meaning he wrote, it's his project. He puts a lot in there, and it's damn, Department of Truth is fucking awesome. Black Cat. I dig a lot of the female-led character in Marvel comics stories. So as far as Black Cat is concerned, I have no, not the first appearance, but I have the first ongoing series up to like I don't know, I think it's issue 5. Then I have some gaps in there, but I'm gonna start filling all that stuff in. Always been a fan of Black Cat. I'm looking forward for this thing to actually make it up to lucky number 13. So they had a big hopes for last volume to get up there, and they think they had 13 different covers to come out, which I'm that guy that would actually try to get them all. Point being, the story finally developed where it wants to be, and if they do with the story, which I'm hoping they do, it could go actually into what Thor had seen into at the end of issue 6 when he was looking down the road and he ended up seeing Thanos with the glove. She's on her mission to go ahead and get all these stones. If things go really bad, and I know that there's possible appearances of Thanos happening into the Marvel Universe right now, this could all make all that transpire. And it's really interesting to see what ends up happening with Black Cat when it comes to that Infinity thing that she's doing a launch, I want to say in November, when you see she's wearing a glove. There's been issues in the past, I think it's issue 8 or 9, where she has a glove and it's all Infinity broken out. My point being is there's something happening, and it's beyond, in my opinion, Black Cat. I've always been a fan of Black Cat, so I'm just telling you what's going on in the story a little bit without ruining it. Moving over to this one, Image Comics and Mirko Andafo's Paprika. This initially that I knew of was a concept that was supposed to be an animation, and I believe she's just trying to garner the popularity of it and see if it can, go ahead and do so. I believe if there's enough popularity into this title of Paprika, it could then, facilitate a possible animation, which in my opinion would be great. I'd love to see this turn into it. For the reason why is this is similar to the writing that she does. If you're into her writing, I don't have to explain it to you. If you don't know her writing, it's very scantily playful, and it does not make the woman in her stories as much of a victim as much as she usually empowers them. And it's pretty cool. So, yeah, I'm a huge fan, and to see what ends up happening, and not only with the development with the possible animation, which I hope for, but as this gets to, I want to say there's 12 issues in the series. So I'm looking forward for it to read. It was my son that initially got me into the story, so I have him to blame. Moving back over to MFKZ, here's that issue 4 that I was talking about. I believe that's a cover B, and I believe there's a cover A. And yeah, this is a pretty fun story. I'm taking it. And that actually has a movie. So if you're interested, I believe Netflix might be still running that movie. As I made mention, fan of female-led characters in Marvel. What was I talking about before? So this is Black Cat. Okay, so I was saying Black Cat. Yeah, the first issue of Black Cat. And I also had the first Spider-Woman too. Actually, my first of Black Cat, I believe I have it signed. Win. Now this finishes up volume 2 of Win. As I made mention, I'm a huge Tynion fan. This fantasy world is an all ages fantasy that it deals with a couple of you can see some of the stuff that they're touching on in the background that they don't really speak a whole lot in the foreground. At the same point, so there is some social things in there that's thrown in there. The story overall is a beautifully written story, and and what I mean by that is it can really be easily adapted. So I'm in hopes that this actually gets developed. This would be a really great story to watch in the theaters. Here we go. This is the one I've been waiting for a long time. As we know, the death of Doctor Strange hit everyone pretty sideways when they end up knowing that, no, there's no way you're going to get rid of a character that's so, pinnacle in the whole Marvel universe, especially when it comes to the whole magic aspect of it. So, even as they jokingly say, no one really dies forever in this whole universe. Anyone's been there, done that. I'm looking forward to this. I think this is going to have some real reverberations at the back end, and I'm hoping that it furthers the development of Strange Academy in a way that would go ahead and better integrate them into the Marvel universe. So they're not just a side story continuously running on, but they're more integrated and relied upon into the actual Marvel universe as something pinnacle and needed. I'm not seeing enough out of the story to warrant, anyways, that's side story. What I'm looking forward to is further development into this Doctor Strange death of, and how it reverberates into other aspects of it, especially when it gets to Strange Academy. 7 Secrets. This is a fun story. This is a really fun story. Between this and Firepower, these are my funnest adventure style stories of this type, and they're both kind of similar in some regards. But the 7 Secrets is just that these people are trying to protect 7 secrets that, in my opinion, would basically not only devastate the Earth, but could possibly just annihilate even beyond the Earth. It's who knows what these 7 secrets can do. I'm having a lot of fun as the story transpires of this organization that's trying to protect them, and this organization that is trying to obtain them. And who knows, there might be further organizations doing, in this. Joker. This is a story that I think is starting to lean towards that whole Spencer thing of Amazing Spider-Man. This thing is starting. This cow is starting to get a little dehydrated. This story could have ended by now. It's not bad. Tanya's doing a good job. I just believe that we can get to a place where we can end this and don't need to continue it. That's me. I'm hoping that this is my last Bat Bark style Cerebus book, only because I'm trying to cut back. You'll end up seeing that I only have a couple books left, and you'll end up noticing that this wasn't 100 and plus books. So things like Cerebus, which were just fun little, social satires and poke fun things, and I wouldn't necessarily totally get into, or if I missed, it wouldn't ruin my life. I have to start abandoning some of these things, and I can't continuously, take them on. Now, that being said, here's one that if Old Guard continued, I'm looking forward to another volume of Old Guard. I will always buy this. This is one that speaks to my heart. It's at times it has a very Bushido, a very, a disciplined twist into the writing of what is in there. And to anybody that's served in the military, not me, I honor you. To anyone that's done anything that requires a whole lot of discipline in their life, you would get a kick out of this story for the reason why that it will speak to you. So I don't care if it's sport related or whatever. There's a lot of that type of mentality written into the Old Guard. So I highly recommend it. Stillwater. Stillwater is a story in which that I end up first hearing about. I don't know, now it must have been almost a year and a half ago. So it was over 6 months prior in which that it was being released. And what the story entailed was one that it really haunted me. Beyond the idea of what most people, as they get older in life, the idea of mortality, the idea of immortality freaks me out more. It really does. That would be a, wow. Yeah. that would suck. And there's so many ways of looking at it in such a negative way, as positive as it could be. It's here's another one that tickles my heart. The reason why is now that Emma and Rusty have been working on this book for over a year now, have came up with the concept for well long prior of that. To know that they have now actually completed a full circle around the sun of working on that book, she's been able to hold it down on her own. as far as she's never asked for any help from her family or anything. Emma Kubert, congratulations. This book, I love it. This is an all ages book. This is a book that has a massive universe. Where, I mean, if this goes on for another 10 years, I think you're only scratching the surface of how big these two are writing this thing. And yeah, this is fun. It's a real fun story. Believe it or not, people, that was everything for my pre-order. Now, what I am missing and I cannot find, which I'm going to leave you just for a moment, is yeah, my Kenny Aiken books. I want to show you those real quick. Check out the art behind me. I returned. Hey, I got 5 bodies in here. Hey, Poser, how you doing? I appreciate you being here. And actually, you know, this might be something right up your alley. And I believe you ended up buying one of my boxes. So again, I appreciate you being here. Yeah, hopefully you'll appreciate this. I end up receiving. I'm gonna regress. A while back ago, I did an interview with Mr. Kenny Aiken. That was on a channel with my son called 1-2 Comic Talk. So the idea and premise behind 1-2 Comic Talk was my son and I just sharing our experiences. And when we found artists and creators in which that we want to go ahead and promote, help in any and all ways that we could, that was it. That's what we were founded on. It got to even a point that what I was doing is I was buying a bunch of these artists and creators books. So what I was doing is when I would get enough of their books, I would put them together inside of boxes, and that was the birth of 1-2 Comic Talk indie boxes. What those boxes were boxes that I made up of every artist and or creator that we've ever interviewed into enough of a box that we can sell to people on a limited basis. I was only able to afford to be able to send them out maybe 4 or 5 at a time, because it would cost me around $40 to $50 to send a box out. I was only charging $25. That was a long story. So getting back to what I'm here doing now, this is one of the ash cans I received from Kenny way back when. All right. So this must have been, oh God, almost a year and a half ago. All right. So here's issue 1. Here's issue 2. And I just received issue 3. Now, I not only received an issue 3, but I received 2 sets of them. And the idea is now I get to put that with this, make a complete set of an ash can and 1 through 3. And then after that, it would be up to you. So I'm going to end up making that available somehow, some way. And then Poser, if you ever would want to do something like this is what I recommend. After you do, you know, and you get some books, and if you can, you know, send out a box or something like that and promote these guys. This is one of the killerest ways to do it. I'm too tiny of a channel, so. But anyway, check this out. This is Kenny's new exclusive that he ended up doing. This is freaking awesome. There was no way I was going to miss this. So I ended up throwing this into a comic clear board. Look how fucking awesome that is. No, I don't recommend just buying his books just for the cover art. No. When you end up reading what he wrote in these books, you're going to be sold. You're going to be just frothing on the mouth like I am every 6 months when a new book comes out, and I just have to have it. So here's my cover A. That exclusive is my cover B. I'm going to end up making one of these boxes available with all of Kenny's stuff in it. I just have yet to put it together and figuring out who and you know, I mean, it's not like I'm trying to make money on this. I'm just trying to get his stuff out there. So yeah, I'm stoked, man. Kenny Aiken art. The name of this book is, that's why I want to get to issue number 1, Apex Cybernetic Samurai Owl. And this thing is badass. Matter of fact, I even got a couple stickers and stuff. I'll end up throwing, you know, making this package all nice and cool. But that's pretty much it from me. As you see, I'm almost there in the sense of I almost have my room set up. I'm starting to get some stuff. The only thing I'm lagging on is I'm dying to get me a nice graphics card. Once I go ahead and build a nice computer, then I'll be up and running. I can, start looking at other aspects, other possibilities, and expanding the channel just a little bit more. But hey, you guys, thank you for being here. I want to run through the chat, and I really want to give everyone a shout out for the 5 people that have been here. I appreciate you. If you could hit that thumbs up, it always helps the algorithm out. Endless Crucis, as always, you're like the first person to hang out and be here. Two Gun, appreciate you taking your time out and actually, bailing on the football for me for a little bit. That's awesome. Poser, as always, it's awesome to see you. Looks like those kids and everyone's growing up. They do that. You gotta, unless you, put them in like a little vegan box, don't recommend it. They always seem to grow. So, and Nicholas, dude, appreciate you being here. I'm just about to bail, however, but it doesn't mean I don't appreciate you. I hope that if you can, go ahead. If there's anything that you may have missed, cruise back. If anything that you would like to see again, cruise back. Want to hit me up on a DM? Find me over on Instagram under the same name, Entropy in Comics. And that's it for me, Entropy. Appreciate you being here. Take care.